2008, I enlisted into the United States Marine Corps to serve my country. Fast forward 14 years, I've been blessed with the opportunity to utilize my post 9/11 GI Bill to not just pay for some school, but my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. And today, I'm going to go over all the do's and don'ts of utilizing your post 9/11 GI Bill. What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another video this week, and if you're an avid watcher of my YouTube channel, you're well aware of utilizing your VA loan as a veteran, as well as potentially getting disability and a few other perks, but one thing I have not mentioned is your post 9/11 GI Bill. So we're going to jump into exactly what the post 9/11 GI Bill covers. I can tell you right off the bat, it's going to cover 100% of your tuition. It's also going to give you, based on your zip code and where you are located, it's going to give you BAH, or Basic Allowance for Housing. Obviously, in a lower income or a lower cost of living area, you're going to have a lower BAH. For instances such as San Diego, New York, Hawaii, you're going to get a much larger monthly stipend just due to the cost of living. You're also going to be given $1,000 a year for books and supplies, and depending on your situation, there is a few more requirements to be able to actually do this, but you can actually transfer your post 9/11 GI Bill to family members. So yes, a ton of perks when it comes to the post 9/11 GI Bill, and what I can tell you from my experience, I was actually in boot camp at the end of 2008, and I didn't even know that this was an asset at the time. Technically, it wasn't even fully implemented at the time. I was learning about it while I was in boot camp. To be honest with you, it actually shows the Post 9/11 Veterans Educational Assistance Act of 2008, enacted as Title V of the Supplemental Appropriations Act 2008, on June 30th, 2008, is the newest GI Bill and went into effect as of August 1st, 2009. So I felt very, very lucky for enlisting in 2008 and being able to get this asset moving forward for when I did get out to utilize it fully. Now, what I can tell you from my personal experience, having served 4 years in the Marine Corps, I knew from the get-go, going in the Marine Corps, one of the biggest reasons I joined was so I didn't have to take out a bunch of student debt, just like everyone else was at the ages of 18 and 19. I instead wanted to serve my country and have my school paid for. So anytime that I had the ability to do so while I was actually in the Marine Corps, I used what we call TA, or tuition assistance. Do not utilize your post 9/11 GI Bill while you are in the military. Again, let me emphasize that again. Do not use your post 9/11 GI Bill while you're still on active duty. Now, you may be asking why. Why can't I use my post 9/11 GI Bill if I am warranted to do so while I am still in? Or first things first, again, it goes back to tuition assistance. Tuition assistance is something that is given to you while you are in service. You do not want to give up free money or tuition assistance to then start using the only benefit that you're going to be able to have once you're out of the military and start exhausting that while you're still in. So just to elaborate here, do not use your post 9/11 GI Bill while you are in the service. Utilize tuition assistance. Tuition assistance is free money, and it's keeping your post 9/11 GI Bill for when you get out. Now, if you are fortunate enough to be able to take as many classes as you can, whether it be remote or actually physically going to classes using tuition assistance, you can actually do enough school to get your associate's degree. That's essentially what I was able to do in the 4 years. I was taking as much classes as I could, whether it be physical in the evenings or online. I was taking as many classes as I physically could, maybe even paying a little bit out of pocket of tuition assistance, then cover it, just so I could get my associate's degree while I was still in the Marine Corps. Now, moving beyond outside of the Marine Corps, now I was able to use my post 9/11 GI Bill for the last 2 years of my undergraduate degree and my 2 years for my master's degree. And as we're all aware, a master's degree typically, or a postgraduate degree, is going to be more expensive than an undergraduate degree. So in this case, I was actually even taking the post 9/11 GI Bill and leveraging it even further to save me more money. Now, another benefit, obviously, as I mentioned before, when it comes to the post 9/11 GI Bill, is your BAH and your book stipend that you get annually. So let's say you're getting out of the service and you don't have a job, but you're looking to go to school, utilize your post 9/11 GI Bill. Well, I can tell you out the gate, you're gonna get BAH. Basically meaning if you work it appropriately and don't just go crazy with a place that you wanna stay, maybe you just rent a room from a buddy or get an apartment that's very, very affordable, you can actually pay all of your monthly expenses with that BAH alone. Again, depending on the area and depending on the cost of living, but that BAH can cover a lot of your monthly expenses. And then on top of that, your book stipend can really cover the cost of your books for a year. So at the end of the day, truly you can decide whether or not you want to be working part-time, full-time, or maybe not at all, depending on how much that BAH covers. Now, to give you guys my perspective and what I did was I didn't work at all throughout the week. I actually did a little bit of a side job on Saturday and then all of Sunday, and that gave me enough free money to just spend or buy food or go to a movie or do anything fun while I was still going to college. Now, not everyone is getting out of the service at 23 or 22, still young enough, single, and able to, I guess, live fairly cheap. Some people are utilizing the post 9/11 GI Bill after serving for 20 years at the age of maybe 42 or in their middle 40s where they have a family, so on and so forth, and they have been their solo income. That's going to be a little bit different. Now, if that's the case and you're looking to get out of the service, you've served your 20 years, you actually should be able to fulfill that obligation to where you can pass that post 9/11 GI Bill down to your children. In that case, it could be a substantial amount of money saved. And instead of you necessarily going to college in your 40s, maybe it's something that you go to contracting work if you enjoyed what you did in the military and now you're making more outside of the military and still able to pass on that military benefit to your children. And also another side note here, guys, yes, you will only have one post 9/11 GI Bill, but that can be broken up to multiple kids as well. Now, to give you guys some additional information when it comes to the post 9/11 GI Bill, there is a yellow ribbon program. The yellow ribbon program is essentially able to help you be able to cover the cost of utilizing the post 9/11 GI Bill for private universities. So if you had your eyes set on some private university, but it cost a substantial amount of money, let's say it was $50,000 a year for that particular university, what the yellow ribbon program essentially does is match any waiver that the school is willing to do. So let's say that private university is willing to waive $10,000 of their tuition cost. The yellow ribbon program will essentially match that, now waiving $20,000. So instead of annually you paying $50,000 for tuition, now you're paying $30,000, and the post 9/11 GI Bill caps out at about $26,000 and some change. So really, the post 9/11 GI Bill is now covering 26 and some change. The yellow ribbon program is covering 20. So out of pocket, you're really looking at $5,000 to $6,000 annually to attend a college or university that's a private school that charges $50,000 a year. Another program that is often overlooked is VOC Rehab. Now, explaining VOC Rehab, essentially you need to have at least 10% disability. And if you have 10% disability, they will essentially cover 12 months of schooling for you. So if you wanted to start without using your post 9/11 GI Bill, or maybe you wanted to put it on the end, maybe you wanted to have your post 9/11 GI Bill cover 4 years of school, but your education was actually 5 years, you can end and do that last year with VOC Rehab, assuming that you have at least 10% disability, and they'll cover the cost of school for those 12 months. Now, for those folks that went into the military as officers, maybe they had their school paid for through a ROTC scholarship, maybe their parents paid for it, or maybe they personally took out student loans. And then again, when completion of their degree happened, they joined the military as an officer, they are also going to get the benefit of a post 9/11 GI Bill. But again, if they leave the military after some said time, assuming that they are eligible for the post 9/11 GI Bill, they do not need to use it for their undergraduate degree. More than likely, they may not have a master's degree that needs to be obtained utilizing their post 9/11 GI Bill. In this case, they can actually use their post 9/11 GI Bill for a doctorate degree if they so desire. So yes, clarifying here, guys, there is no stipulation within the post 9/11 GI Bill whether or not you use it for an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, maybe a master's degree, or a doctorate degree whatsoever. And again, going back to the yellow ribbon program, you can even utilize your post 9/11 GI Bill to go to a private university. So you may be asking, with all these great things that come along with the post 9/11 GI Bill, what are the don'ts? What I can tell you right now, don't assume that the post 9/11 GI Bill, when you get out, and because I'm in the real estate industry, I get this a ton, please do not assume that the post 9/11 GI Bill, BAH, is going to allow you to have valid income to purchase a house. Because I can tell you right now, it will never allow you to use that income to qualify for a house. Now, what I can tell you is if you're getting out, make sure you do your due diligence prior to getting out to get set up on any kind of disability if you warrant it, because disability is definitely income that can help you qualify for a house. But again, BAH within your post 9/11 GI Bill is not valid income, but BAH while you're in does. And that's kind of where the confusion starts, is they assume they're going to continue to get BAH when they get out. Sadly enough, that BAH no longer is valid income. So as far as a don't there, I would highly suggest if you're looking to purchase a house before you get out. Make sure you qualify, close on the house, then decide to get out of the military and maybe utilize your post 9/11 GI Bill. Because again, if you're looking to go to school full time, bank off that BAH and that book stipend and not really work any full-time job. You're gonna be renting for the foreseeable future. Another don't when it comes to the post 9/11 GI Bill is assume that the money is going to be forever. There is a start and an end date when it comes to the post 9/11 GI Bill, and if you're looking to not really go to school in the summer, I have some bad news for you. That post 9/11 GI Bill only runs during the semesters that you're in school. Now, as far as the stipulations and requirements when it comes to being paid that full BAH or the BAH period is you have to be deemed a full-time student. Also, to clarify here, you're given about 9 semesters of value within your post 9/11 GI Bill. If you do some quick math, you've got 2 semesters every single year. For 4 years, that's 8 semesters, and within the post 9/11 GI Bill, you're given 9. So if you decide to go to summer classes, one summer, and then decide to utilize it again, just be aware that you're probably going to exhaust your post 9/11 GI Bill before you actually finish your 4-year degree, assuming that your 4-year degree actually requires you to go to school for 4 full years. But again, if you've got 10% disability, go ahead and utilize that VOC rehab opportunity. So let's get back to some don'ts, guys. I can tell you, as I mentioned earlier in this video as well, make sure not to use your post 9/11 GI Bill while you are in. Obviously, there are some rare situations where this makes sense. Let's maybe assume that you don't have any kids and you're really never gonna get out of the military. Let's say you're doing 30, 35 years and you're crazy. I'm just kidding, you're awesome, but it's just not for me. Then it may make sense to use your post 9/11 GI Bill while you're in. But at that point, you're already receiving your BAH, so it doesn't make a ton of sense to use it while you're in. And I can also tell you, if you're hoping to utilize your post 9/11 GI Bill and you're living in the barracks, you're not gonna get BAH. It doesn't work that way. Now, another don't that I got to advise you here from some personal experience is wherever you are stationed at. So in my case, I was stationed in California. You are deemed 1 full year of residency wherever you were stationed. So let's say you were stationed in North Carolina, you can now go to a North Carolina state college and not have to pay out-of-state tuition. But what I can tell you to do is claim residency as soon as possible in that state. In my situation, I kind of put it off. I wound up going to the department in, I believe it was about February, maybe March timeframe. And they told me that I should have done this like the first week of school, and that now my 2nd year at San Diego State, which is where I was going to, was now gonna have to be out-of-state tuition. So unfortunately, I had to go back to my home state of Washington and finish up college there. Now, the last don't that I have for you guys at the end of this video is don't be a resident of any other state but Texas. But all jokes aside here, guys, the Texas Veterans Hazelwood Act is a huge opportunity in the state of Texas. And what it means is it will essentially cover 150 hours of school. You can't put the two together, though. You can't put the post 9/11 GI Bill and the Hazelwood Act together, but it'll cover 150 hours of school if and only if you are a Texas resident at the date of enlistment. Yes, again, unfortunately, I was a Washington State resident, so I do not have the opportunity to partake in this. So yes, if you're not a Texas resident, I'm unfortunately sorry for that little tidbit. Hopefully this video broke down the post 9/11 GI Bills, a little bit of do's and a little bit of don'ts, as well as some further education regarding just education for veterans. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I would love to get back to you. And if you are a veteran that stumbled across my channel, I have a ton of other veteran related content. Would love for you to subscribe and follow along. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.